Hello and welcome back to 4,000 and Counting. I am Watty. This is Mark. We are joined by Glenn Billing from Peterborough Phantoms ahead of the Phantoms and Leeds Knights NIHL Cup final, two legs. Glenn, welcome to 4,000 first of all.
Cheers, boys. Yeah, thanks for having me. Good.
Uh, like I said, the cup final is just round the corner. It's a two-legged affair, but you're going in on the back of what was a tough defeat at home last night. You lost 9-3 on home ice. Does that have any impact going in? And what kind of happened last night? Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, as we was speaking before, and just 15 minutes, we just didn't turn up. We weren't ready to play. Leeds are too good offensively, and they just capitalised on everything. Or before you know it, you're five down. So
That's mad.
um, and it's a tough one to take. It's obviously not what we wanted, but in terms of going forward, maybe it was a good thing that it happened. We learnt the lesson. Maybe a slice of humble pie for us all, and we definitely won't make that mistake again in a couple of weeks, hopefully.
With the
although it's
way,
kind of
sorry, Mark, gone.
although it's kind of hard, to take a loss like that. You haven't had many
Mm.
hammerings this season, or in fact for the last few years. Does that kind of is it a bit of a wake up call going into the final to sort of like prepare a bit more? Leeds are offensively heavy, as we know. Does that kind of give you that extra sort of motivation now to go forwards and kick some ass?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when a loss happens like that, you got to take it on the chin, but you also got to use that frustration next time you play them for sure, and use it next week first as well. But yeah, it's like I said, it was definitely a big lesson for us. I think recently, perhaps our performances haven't quite been where we've wanted them to be. The standards that we set early on in the year, but we've had enough to get by. And maybe perhaps this weekend we got found out a little bit. So, like I said, we've got to take it on the chin, regroup, and react this week.
The last couple of games have saw you boys kind of fall away in the league. Leeds have stretched that gap a little bit. They've even put a couple of extra points between themselves and Milton Keynes. How much does that change how big this trophy is for you guys? Because realistically, if we're honest here, Leeds look like they're going to wrap it up in the next couple of weeks on the league side of things. Barring, I don't know, the maddest run of results in the NIHL national history, I think it's safe to say they're going to be right there. Does that make this an even bigger like cup final for you boys wanting to take that trophy?
Yeah, I mean, like I think looking at last year, Telford won the league. I think it was like 33 wins or something. And we're sitting in third, and we've surpassed that. It's madness the consistency that Leeds and Milton Keynes have showed. So you have to take your hats off to them. Perhaps the league is probably away from us, but to answer your question, why it's the quickest route to a trophy, right? It's the first trophy on offer. So yeah, we're definitely all in, and we want to get the first trophy that's up for grabs so we can get.
It's been a pretty even. If I'm right, correct me if I'm wrong. It's actually been quite even between you guys throughout the course of the season. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. I think if we won last night, I think the head to head it would have been either even or we would have took it between us. And
It's four. It'd be 4-2 to Leeds because when we did a preview video a couple of weeks between you boys, it
yeah,
was
3-2.
currently 3-2 to Leeds, and then obviously they beat you last night. But we found the interesting thing when that happened was the fact that they beat you in back-to-back games in home barn, away barn, and
yeah,
then you went and beat them in back-to-back games on home and away. Because we thought that although it's not the exact same weekend with the cup final being Friday and Friday,
yeah.
it's still the same principle. You guys play each other back to back like that. What's gonna stop it being the weekend where you get the two losses, and what's gonna make it the weekend where you get the two wins? What's gonna be the major difference?
I think our major strength as a team is our depth, and we all know the offensive firepower that Leeds have. That they're a dynamic team, but we just we need to compete. We need to turn up, and B if we do that, I feel like we've got the depth to um, you know. What's the word I'm looking for? We've got the depth to maybe counteract the firepower they've got. It is over two legs. It's 120 minutes, not just 60 minutes. But it also makes that start equally important. Perhaps we prefer it to be a Saturday Sunday, if I'm honest.
I think everybody in the
Yeah.
entire like country would want that. Someone said something interesting about the Elite League. It was a fan, and it was a kind of a sour grapes tweet, but part of it did make sense to me. It was a Steelers fan bitching about it being on Belfast on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And the premise of the tweet was, to the Elite League, you don't even fucking care enough about your Challenge Cup that you don't put it on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, why are you playing it on a Wednesday? Like, get that on a Saturday. Get that like prime time on the TV with you guys. Same thing. If it's going to be a two-legged affair, let's go into it Saturday, Sunday, purely on the basis that you guys will have other games, have other trainings, and things in between the final. What if you get hurt? What if somebody, takes they end up missing the final when they should? That shouldn't happen. So,
Yeah.
is that your take?
Yeah, definitely. I think the reality of it is that Leeds' schedule, the running is pretty mental anyway. Because I know they had quite a few one-game weekends at the start of the year. So, and also guys work.
Yeah, of course.
But in the difference between the Elite League is obviously that's their full-time work. I agree with you. It'd be great if they could make it an even bigger event over one weekend. Yeah, but unfortunately, it's not that way. So we have to deal with it. And also, I think we've got the home advantage first. I know a lot of teams would like to have the second game at home, but I think it's a good opportunity for us to send a message and use that to our advantage to get a head start going into the following week.
Talking about sending a message, obviously you boys got spanked yesterday, but there was some positives. Like Nort stepped up, dropped the gloves, end the cart, showed that you boys weren't going to take any shit early doors at home. And then I think when you were maybe 4-0 down, Gretton drops his gloves, has a good fight with Dylan, shows a bit of a fuck you for next week that we know we've got you again and we know it's coming. Yeah. Did you boys feel a bit of that energy like from those guys doing that?
Oh, absolutely. When you see Norts is obviously one of our top D men, he's a tough guy as well. So when he steps up and shows the boys how much he cares for us and stepping up and sticking up for each other, of course you build energy off that. But also, when you're 4-0 down that quickly, that's probably all you're playing for towards the end of the game. When it's 9-2 or whatever, is that you have to send that message that we're not just going to roll over. And in the coming weeks, we will be ready and we will react from this.
I know we said we were going to talk about the cup, but it kind of fits in with what you were just saying there. Leeds having one game weekends. Obviously, Bison this weekend, they had a one game every weekend. Someone's got a one game night. Myself and Mark, a couple of weeks back, we talked about, there's a rumour mill of a 12 team joining. Who would it be? Would you like to see it even out and have 12 teams so you boys don't have those weekend days off? So you're actually playing Saturday, Sunday, and you're not getting like midweek and Fridays and Thursdays.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, the more games, the better. The more professional we can make it, the better. Make that gap to the league even smaller. If it makes the league more competitive, it's only great for the game of British hockey. So yeah, absolutely. I think unfortunately as well, a lot of our one game weekends, our games are on a Sunday as well. So it's really, you can't really do much for your Saturday. But yeah, I would love more games and maybe not more cup competitions, but maybe change the playoff structure a bit. I don't know. There's all sorts you could do, but I'd be definitely up for that.
They did it, and then they changed it back. They did it last year. It was perfect. They went to the group format, which it should have been since it was. They changed it one of the latter years in the EPL. Yeah, let's go back to that. It's an extra fortnight hockey or whatever it is. Even if you have to play two of the games in a midweek, even if you play. Yeah. Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, if that's what it takes. But it's an extra week's wages for the boys. It's an extra. Fuck it. It is. Let's call it what it is. Let's call it what it is. It's an extra week's wages going into the summer. Everyone likes to get paid. It's an extra 3 games of hockey for the 4 games of hockey for the guys. It's an extra 4 games of hockey for the fans. It's an extra fucking 3 home gates for the owners. They're gonna like it. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's one of them things you have to pay an extra month's fucking rent if it goes on the housing. I don't know if it's there must be a reason why they've gone back to the shorter format.
Yeah, I mean, there must be, and I agree with you, but those are the games that are most fun. But, so if you could play more of those games, then why not? But I hope they have looked at it. I'm sure they have, but who knows, right?
Obviously, as a player, you want to win the playoffs because it's the playoffs.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you play 56 games to get to the playoffs. Like, if you boys have a night or a period like you did on Sunday, where
Yeah.
you're 5-0 down in 15 minutes, those 56 games you just played were for fucking nothing.
I know, yeah.
In
But
15 minutes, like that's it. Your
yeah,
whole entire season's over.
yeah, but
I hate that.
I hate it, but I also love it at the same time because that's the excitement of those games, right? Those one game battles, and when you come out the right side of those in cold, there's no feeling like it, and you also finish the season a champion. You have the whole summer as a champion. So, I see what you're saying. It is a lot of hard work down the drain, if that happens, but when you come out the right side of it, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Mark, sorry, go on, mate.
Yeah, just moving more to team based. Who have been your line mates this season?
So I'm still with Paddy and Dunks. So ever since sort of Jimmy retired, that's sort of been the line. I've been with Paddy for 4 years now. We have sort of switched up a little bit. Like I said, through this stretch, we've been struggling performance-wise, or we felt that we have. So I think Slavs has obviously mixed it up a little bit, but
Try to
no,
just get a little bit of spark in the roster just by doing little changes here and there.
absolutely, and just trying to get anything going. If we've been short of goals, then who knows? All of a sudden, you can click with a guy that you've hardly played with the whole year. So yeah, but like I said, I've been Paddy and Dunks most of the time. I love playing with them. They're both two really good players.
They
How much
both
of an
put
impact
points up,
does
haven't they?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Paddy's pedigree and his experience speaks for itself. The man's got over 200 professional goals or something silly like that. Me and Dunks joke from all the time because he turned 43 the other day, and
Father time.
Yeah, and his first professional game was the year that me and Dunks were born. So we do wind him up about that a little bit, but yeah, he's definitely a great guy to play with and uses his experiences and his old head as well as his skill out there. And Dunks is a big body with a great shot. He's also a lot a cleverer player than people take him for. So they make me look good and they make it easy out there. So
I was saying to Mark on, I think an episode like 2 weeks back after watching you boys down in Basingstoke, I didn't realize what a big team you are. You got a lot of guys that are like over 6 foot.
yeah, I mean,
tall fellas.
we don't necessarily play that style of hockey so much. We like to play a dynamic game on the puck, and we're not less of a dump and chase kind of team. I feel like we are quite defensively stable. We do shut down teams, but at the same time, we do like to play on the puck and rotate as a unit of five rather than D and forward. So, we are we are a lot bigger than perhaps people think. But one thing we definitely noticed about Leeds was their speed. So that's something we'll have to react to for sure.
As if they weren't good. I was going to say, as if they weren't good enough, and then they bring in like Witowski and Mac because they weren't already fast enough, so they just brought in another two guys that skate around 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, Mac's scary fast. It's a joke. Like last night when he scored 4 goals, but I think two of them he just blew past us. And Mac shouldn't be playing in our league, but he is.
Agreed.
A very good player. Props to him for getting 4 goals. I'd rather it wasn't against us, but they're our fast team, so we'll have to get back to the drawing board and see how we can counteract that.
Mark, what did you say Mac had stats wise in his game so far?
22 games. He has, what was it? Let me see. I think I've got it written down. Of course, I don't have it to hand. He has 16 plus 29, 45 points in 22 games.
Yeah.
Why is how is he not getting played in the Elite League? I don't fucking understand.
Exactly. A guy with his speed, he's so smooth as well. You think he'd be perfect, but what do we know, right?
Well, we've talked about it on here. You're one of the names that comes up when we talk about someone that could go to the Elite League. Is it something that interests you, or are you more career based, focused on just playing National League? Or is it future plans or anything?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, if the offer was made, I'd certainly look at it for sure. But I'm really happy in Peterborough. I love playing for Slav. I think he's a great coach, and it works well with my work-life balance at the moment. So
Yeah, it's just Mark's. It like
Yeah.
literally is a name that comes up a lot, isn't it? Like having Glenn's
Yeah.
name goes into the mix because I think for you, without pumping your tires too much, you're a very smart hockey player, and that's what the difference is between some of these kids that go up and can't fucking do it, and they come straight back down. The ones that can go up and have something up here, because most of the guys have skill, right?
yeah, no, absolutely. I
Most
think
of you
it's
guys that
got,
are near the top have got skill.
yeah, definitely.
Who's got the head, and you've
It's
got
the
the
hockey
hockey.
IQ, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course it is. When you take that step up, obviously you touched on speed. Speed's important. Being able to read the game, actually knowing the game inside out, and having a hockey brain makes such a difference. You have two imports that are being integral to what you're doing. Obviously, you touched on Norts there. How integral has he been to this season? I think he's got 40 points on the season so far from the back, rolling it back as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's so consistent. I mean, if maybe he hasn't got 40 points in previous years, but he's always up there with top D men in the league. Again, he's so good. His vision out there's making that first pass, and he's integral on our power play as well up top. So he's got a heavy shot, and he uses it well. But like I said, he's experienced head, and he definitely helps us out a lot, and just so calm on the puck and gets us out the zone quick.
How important have the young guys? Peterborough have gone like a very young roster. Obviously, they've just announced Barron's already back for next season. He's had a head of a year. You've got another couple of younger guys than that. You got Hunt and is it Thorpe, I believe. Right,
Yeah.
good chain of fellas coming through from that academy.
Absolutely, and I think that's Slava's motto. He
Yeah.
likes that four-line hockey, high intensity, and he gives these young guys responsibility and trust. So they've only repaid him. I could totally agree that Brad's taken a massive step this year. We've seen how good he could be, and I feel like he's taken that step this year, and showing everyone how good he is. But yeah, Slav gives him the opportunity, and they repay him with hard work and doing a job out there for us.
That's one positive I've always said about Slav on the pod. He's always bringing up these guys that are not so known through the juniors, and he's developing these guys, giving them the ice time. And within 2-3 seasons, they're making a big name for himself. There's another example with Brad.
Definitely, yeah, and I think, like I said before, our depth is one of our strengths, and Slavs has always looked to have four lines and use four lines. Perhaps some of the other teams might overplay their top guys or may only have three lines. So we try to use that high intensity four line hockey to our advantage to wear teams down.
And that should be now when you boys are noticing the benefit of that in that run in where other teams have been hammering six forwards and 4D all year.
Yeah,
And the guys are getting tired and they're banged up and you're coming to the end of the road. It's good to have some gas in the tank, and going four lines allows you to do that. Keep that. Well, you boys, like you say, you like to play a dynamic game. It keeps that going all the way to the end of the season.
yeah, absolutely. And going back to probably the cup final when you play teams like Leeds that are so fast. Perhaps we don't have a team full of superstars like they do, but it allows us to keep up with them and compete with those boys. So yeah, that's the way Slavs has always looked at it, and I think it works really well.
How did the semi-final go for you boys? Let's talk about the route actually getting to face Leeds. What two-legged affair again? What was it? Can you remember the results off the top of your head?
I can't. The actual scores. No, I know we won by a goal in the end.
It was tight. I was just thinking it was very tight,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
it was an empty netter that did it because they were pushing. But yeah, it was again a huge two games, a massive effort from all the boys, and again over our local rivals. So the old Peterborough rink was rocking. It was so loud in there. It was great to be a part of, and felt pretty good too.
Always feels good to get one over on them. I only got to play in a couple of like the Peterborough MK games. Played, I think before I left, maybe 3 or 4, and there's a
Yeah,
little bit of niggle in them. They were fun. They were fun to be a part of.
yeah, absolutely. There is definitely a rivalry there. I've obviously played on both sides of it now
Yeah.
as well. Um, so yeah, they're good. They're fun games to be a part of, and even funner when you come out the right side of them. So to do that in a cup semi-final was pretty good, and it just rewards all our fans for how good they've been all year as well.
who are the players that Slava's perhaps? I mean, obviously, kind of Kieran Brown, but who are the players that Slava's got you boys like looking at? Like, let's not sleep on this guy. Let's maybe we play this guy a little bit of a different way than you did last night. Say,
I mean, that's the trouble with Leeds is they're so stacked.
so stacked.
You can't really
Yeah.
do that. You say, oh, try and stay on Brownie, then you've got Shoes out there, who's again one of the best two-way centre I think this year, taking massive steps in his game as well. Then you got Mac flying around there, new Paul Gutowski, Brooks, who's a big body as well, and then on D they've got Zajac, and that's not even to mention their goalie, right? You got to get past Gospel on the other end. So
Yeah, I know.
um, yeah, I don't think you can pick out names. We just try and look at the things they do and they do regularly, and then we'll definitely work on that in the week and see what we can do to bear that.
As a shooter, would you say Gospel's the best goalie in the league?
Oh, well, firstly, I want to put myself down as a shooter.
No, but you know what I mean? You're in when you're in
no.
on there and you're looking at a goalie. Sometimes you look at a guy and go, "I fancy scoring on you." I think
Yeah.
I'm confident 8 out of 10 that I'm going to score against you. Whereas like you go down on Gossie, maybe that goes from like an 8 to a 4. You're like, he doesn't really give you anything to shoot at.
No, absolutely. And for a small guy as well, he seems to fill the net so well. But I think the big thing about Guzzi is that he's smooth side to side. You try and get a goalie moving side to side, that's your best chance of scoring. But the puck just seems to be a magnet to him when he slides across the net, even when he doesn't see it. He just seems to be in the right spot. So, yeah, perhaps when you're going down on them, he has that slight mental advantage. But you've got to pick a corner or make sure you can't see it. So.
With Phantoms, then back to your team. Who's the unsung hero? Who's sort of the unknown one that's sort of stepped up this season apart from Brad?
Oh, that's a good question. It's a very good question. I'd say Ralph's has been a great addition. Obviously, there was a lot of talk when we signed him, but I think he's really high skilled, really strong on the puck, and has definitely, as I said, added that key depth. I think also Robbo out there as well, Scott Robson. He's integral for us.
Who's really good against Basingstoke? That game you boys were down here not so long ago.
He absolutely eats pucks like it's a joke, and the amount of shots he blocks. And same with Wilds. He's our captain. He does the right things, plays the right way. So defensively, good. So they're just some of the names. I think again, Austin Mitchell-Kin's been massive for us. Playing against him for Telford last year, a team that perhaps didn't have as many big names, but still got it done. I didn't quite realize how good he was, and he's come in again, got great hands, and for a big guy, he can shoot pucks. So yeah,
he skates really well.
He does. Again, he doesn't look like he's skating fast, but he has a really long stride and he just eats up ice on people. So yeah. He's training with the Blaze, and that's going to be a good thing.
Nice.
It's good to see more guys getting that chance. Like, whether it be even just fucking skating right now, we'll take it. And then if it's games, it's games. And getting more guys into the Elite League, the better. Because ultimately, it looks like, unless you're Jordan Headley and you're in the National League, you're not getting selected. And you're not in the National League, sorry, you're not getting selected for GB. So in order to, if anyone has like GB aspirations, it's very much looking like you're going to have to be in the Elite League. Is that something that ever like comes across your mind?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. It seems quite far away for me at this point, if I'm honest. Obviously, I'd love to be an absolute honour to even be considered in that picture. But the jump to Elite League, having that 1 year of experience just training in Milton Keynes in the Elite League is huge. So whatever we can do for British hockey to make that gap smaller to our league, the better, I think.
Right, let's kind of look at the rest of your season apart from your cup final. I think it's 6 games left for you fellas now. Well, obviously 8 including the finals. As it stands right now, if the league was to finish tomorrow, you'd be facing off against the Raiders in what would be a 2-legged playoff series. How would that be for you? Ain't that down your neck of the woods?
Yeah, that's where I grew up playing. So I have a lot of friends on that team.
So you want to go and fucking make them go golfing early then?
Absolutely. I know a few boys on that team love the golf course as well. So, no, yeah, it'd be an interesting matchup there. I think, again, they're a team that has a lot of skill, quite underrated, and could be a lot better league table wise than what they are. So they'd be dangerous. But, there's no friends when that puck drops. It's playoff hockey. And the only thing in my mind is making the dance in Coventry.
I
How will
think that'd
you
be a great
like?
series, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Like I said, they're really high skilled. And yeah, it'd be a challenge for sure. Do I think we have enough? Of course. I think like if we bring our game, we can beat anyone on any night. But yeah, it'll be a good series, fun to be part of.
it must be nice having Sladkovsky on your side instead of against you in that.
Yeah, I mean, going back to talking about guys that are silky and smooth on the puck,
Mm.
he's a joke. So smooth, such a good passer as well, and he's been a great addition. And he's only what, a year older than me, I think.
He's not very old, no.
No, he's quite young for an import in our league. So, yeah, he's a great guy, and we're lucky to have him. I'm sure he'll help us down the stretch.
What do you make of like the new imports to the league this year, like Gail Laboli and Basingstoke? He likes to run guys over. Hits like an absolute train.
Absolutely, and when you're out there, you definitely think about it because
You're
he
like, oh,
does.
there he is.
Yeah, exactly. You need to be aware. Yeah, no, I think the imports this year, there's been a lot more Canadians in the league. Before it was usually Eastern Euros, but because of obvious reasons, that visa situations, it doesn't really matter anymore. So, yeah, I think it's only elevated and made it more competitive. And hopefully we get more guys that have played in higher leagues so I can certainly learn stuff from. So yeah.
With that being said, we talked about the rumor that it is going 3 international next year for imports. Is that something you would like to see?
I'm quite conflicted on that. I think it would be good in some ways, like I said, for the competitiveness of the league. Us British guys learning off these guys that played in big leagues, that'd be awesome. Obviously, my only concern would be if they allow it to be goalies, what would happen to all these good British goalies in our league that, like Marzi, Gospel, Headley, that I'm sure they'd be fine, but they're just three names that come to mind. Rennie, Marzi's brother. That would be a concern, but at the same time, if you have import goalies, then it makes it harder to score, makes it more competitive. So, there's arguments both ways, and it has to be financially viable because at the end of the day, we all want a league to play in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it'd be good. Just proceed with caution would be my answer on that one, I think.
I think, yeah, I'd rather they didn't go down the import goalie route purely because it's not going to it's going to change the standard of goalies. Yes, it's not going to change the standard of the game. The game's going to be exactly the same game that you have right now with better goalies.
And there might be less goals.
The sort of going to be less goals.
Yeah.
Let's if we have an extra, let's say you got an extra Sladovsky on your team.
Yeah.
You've now got 3 of these guys.
Yeah.
You can learn a little bit off of each, develop. Let's say young Jarvis Hunt there. He gets to play with these guys. That's going to make him a better hockey player. The same for the kids that are in Basingstoke. All of a sudden, they got a big, strong like D man. There's no good import. There's no import D man in the league.
No, and when you're only allowed 2, why would you? So exactly. So maybe that's again. That's definitely a bonus. If you did have an import, you could get more import D to teach these young British D men. And I'm sure a lot of the import D would be dynamic and offensively gifted as well as shutdown guys as well. So overall, it would only develop the game in this country. So yeah, as I said, I'm conflicted on it. Part of me thinks it'd be awesome. Part of me is like, we'll see. But yeah.
But would you be disappointed if you got a phone call in the summer and they were like, we're going 3 imports?
No, I wouldn't be disappointed. No, absolutely not. Like I said, I think I've summed up my thoughts both ways. But if they said to me we're going 3 imports, 2 on the ice at one time, I think it'd be good. And going back to the EPL days, obviously I didn't get to play it as much as I do now. But I learned so much of the imports that were there because we had 5 of them. And you were likely to, if a guy did go down injured, you step up and you be playing with them. So yeah, they were crucial for my development. So I think it'd only be good if guys in the future got that same chance.
I totally agree. Mark, have you got anything else for Glenn before we? I am going to make him give me a little prediction in a second, but before we let him do that, have you got anything else for him, Mark?
That was pretty much how I was going to finish that.
All right, so I believe it's next Friday and the Friday after. Give us a little rundown on how you see it finishing up for the boys.
Well, I'm obviously going to take us to win. What teammate would I be if I didn't do that?
Tough couple of fucking weeks if you didn't.
Exactly. And I do truly believe deep down that we can win. As I said, if we bring our game that we can play, then we have every chance of winning this trophy. I'm going to say it's going to be a tight game. It's going to probably go down to one goal, maybe even OT. I'd like to see us win by 2 goals at home and have that little cushion going to Leeds. But I'm going to say overall a 6-5 win for us over the 2 legs.
I mean, if that's how that finishes up, the league will be very, very happy because not only have you had, it's been a tough battle at the top of the league with the teams down there. There's a good playoff battle going on for like the 7th and 8th spots. You would then have a cup final that finished within a goal. I'd say that's pretty successful leading into like the playoff quarterfinals.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love it if we won 10-0. Also, but they're such a good team. I think we're such a good team. Our games, obviously excluding last night, and perhaps earlier in the year, have been so close. I think it is going to be a close game, but I'm confident and I'm sure that the boys will come up the right side of it.
Well, Glenn, best of luck for the final, mate. We appreciate you jumping on here, and best of luck for the rest of the season. Probably see you around before the season's out, maybe Coventry, and we're interested. We're going to be watching on, and I think it's going to be a hell of a series over between the Phantoms and the Leeds Knights. It's going to be incredible to get you boys buzzing for that trophy. So good luck, buddy.
Cheers, boys. Appreciate it.
Hello, and welcome back to 4,000 and counting, part 2 of the NIHL Cup final preview between the Peterborough Phantoms and the Leeds Knights. I'm joined by Mark, and I'm also joined by Leeds Knights forward Mac Howlett. Mac, welcome to 4,000 and counting, buddy.
Cheers, mate. How you doing, guys?
Mate, great to have you on.
Cheers.
What a turn of events. Nobody in British hockey saw you stepping down and joining the Leeds Knights. Also, no one saw Leeds Knights needing to sign any more weapons before they signed you. When you came back to the league, you've made your mark quite clearly, 2 points a game average right now. How have you enjoyed stepping back down, maybe playing a bit more hockey, getting more important role within the team?
Yeah, I think, I spent 4 years up there, and I just wanted to enjoy my hockey again. So take the step down, and luckily I've enjoyed it so far. I think it's probably been one of the best decisions I've made.
What's the kind of key in saying that it's one of the best decisions you made? Is it just purely on enjoying that hockey again? Because anybody that's maybe played limited ice time or had good shot, you have 4 or 5 good games, you're playing well, and then nothing happens, and then all of a sudden you find yourself limited, reduced minutes. It's fucking so mentally taxing. It's hard to stay involved. Now, when you're down with Leeds, you're just involved.
Yeah, I think it's that, and it's like stems from the fact that when you go up there, like you say, you have to play a role, and you have to change the player you are to play up there. I think so. Coming back down, I think it brought my confidence back and made me play like how I used to when I was younger, when you were coaching me at Southwest. Yeah,
when you and Wallow were just, honestly, it was disgusting having these 2 kids out there. And the main thing that split you boys apart from everybody else, you know what I'm going to say?
So I don't. Go on.
Well, go on, have a little guess. What would you say a 15 and a 16-year-old Mac and Waller had that maybe the other 16, 17-year-old lads didn't have? And you still have it now. You still have it now in spades.
I don't know, mate. I don't know.
Skating ability. You both could skate. You both could skate and skate at an elite level. I mean, we look at Josh Waller now, he might be the best skater in the bloody elite league. Like, he skates so smoothly, and it's just, you boys were both the same when you were growing up. I noticed down in Basingstoke when you were there, plus like maybe the Steel Dog streams and bits and pieces that I've watched. Your skating is phenomenal, and that is because there's loads of skill guys. Loads of guys got skill.
Yeah.
Some guys don't skate so good. And it's not saying they're like shit skaters or anything, but you can really tell the difference between a very good skater and, you know, me, for example. I can skate, I can wheel, I can get around there, and I can do what I need to do. But the fucking difference between myself and Josh Waller in skating is night and day. And you boys both fall into that category. Do you think that's something that's actually allowed you to come back down from the elite league and just come in and start taking over?
Yeah, I think so. I think you know, there's obviously a difference in pace in the league, in the different leagues, but yeah, it just feels like you've got a bit more time on the puck, make decisions, you know, and you can get away with stuff that you wouldn't otherwise get away with sometimes. But I have actually been quite surprised in, you know, some of the top teams we play against. It's been, you know, relatively competitive, you know, and even, you know, we played against Bracknell on Saturday and it was still a tight game. So you know, the hockey's, you know, not as fast, but still, it's still kind of difficult to play.
Kind of difficult, not a big diff. I like the modesty, mate. It doesn't seem very difficult for you right now. Mark, go on, mate.
Yeah, how was it in the move down from Dundee to Leeds? Did you settle in well? How are you finding Leeds itself? It's a great city. It's fun. The nightlife's good.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been out too many times, just the once since I've been here. But no,
still recovering from 4 years living in fucking Scotland, no doubt.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a big city. There's a lot going on, a lot of life going on. You know, apartments here are amazing. So, you know, it's probably the easiest transition I've ever made from club to club. So, yeah, it's been great.
Right. Speaking of your apartment, you were kind enough to show the boys around before. We got a bit of a crib style. It is legit, honestly. The guys that are watching this, it might be the nicest team house I've seen, and I've been around for a fucking long time. It is very, very nice. Did Aldi perhaps send a picture of your apartment before he got you to sign on the dotted line, or what?
I mean, that wasn't what made my decision, obviously, but yeah, he showed me before, and I was that would help. Sent it around the family and said, you know, this would probably be, you know, quite nice to live in. So, yeah, I mean, just a bonus, really.
What about Leeds itself? Is it becoming a hockey town? Obviously, we know it's synonymous with the Leeds Rhinos, Rugby League, and obviously Leeds United Football Club. There's a couple of other clubs, maybe League Two and League One, roundabout Leeds. Obviously, massive sporting place, massive uni place. Is it becoming a hockey place? Because it's looking busy.
Yeah, I think so. I think they you know, sell out or close to sell out every game. I think it's helping that we're, you know, sort of top of the league at the moment. I hopefully stay that way. But yeah, like the football stadium is literally right next door to the rink, which I don't think many others or any others in the league or league above are. And I got a stat through the other day from Ryan, and he said like something about 75% of the fans only watch one game. So you've got so many people going through those doors. It's like, you know, it's madness. So I think, yeah, it's definitely becoming really popular.
And that's good news, and bad news, I guess. It's good news that you're getting so much footfall. You would hope that you start retaining those and building on it, more season ticket holders. And I was complimenting Leeds, actually, on an episode I did with Mac a couple of days ago. Me and Jamie were talking, and I was like, Leeds already have their season ticket deals out for next year. The way they're playing right now, that's so smart. Who doesn't want to sign up for next year right now when you win 9 games straight?
Yeah, I mean, it's mental. I mean, the atmosphere there as well. It's like, you know, when you've got these kind of like new fans coming all the time and they haven't seen hockey before, you know, they, you know, get right up for it, and, you know, it's loud as anything in there. So, you know, it's been awesome. Right.
We are here to talk about the cup final itself. But before we do that, obviously you've only been here for part of the year, but the season record currently stands at 4 wins for Leeds, 2 wins for the Phantoms. The most recent game between you sides saw you boys pick up a 9-3 victory, 4+1 for yourself on the night. talk us through the game and talk us through whether that result means anything when it comes down to Friday.
I mean, the result, I mean, I think we went into that game in the mindset that, we're going to put them down before this cup final happened, at least the first leg anyway, and kind of send a bit of a message to them. And I think we did that. Then I think we changed our game a little bit. I think we were a bit more physical. And, like you said, I've only been here half the year. So before I got here, I was told that, the boys were playing a little bit with a bit more tenacity. And I think just getting back to that is what won us the game, because it's what made them successful in the first place before I was even here. And I think, I think we were just up for that game. I don't know. And
well, you were 5-0 after 15 minutes, mate. It lets me think there was no bus legs.
No, I think everyone, prepared well. We've recently doing some brought in a guy, Colin, to do a bit of like mental performance coaching. And I think, when you've got, different ages and groups of friends on a team, you really need to try and band together, especially at this point in the season. And I think he's really helped us with that. And you can kind of see a difference on the bench. And I said to the boys after that, I think, if that's one of the best performances that we've had this year, I would say the bench was probably mirrored that. So, I don't think it's a coincidence.
So, sorry, Mark, go.
Leeds have got a great balance, I find, with experience and youth. You've still got some, Kieran Brown's an absolute stud, and he's 21?
22 this week, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Old man now. Fuck.
How did you find fitting into that?
Yeah, I mean, I've known all those boys. I think when you play hockey in the UK, you pretty much know everyone. So like him, Cole, most of the guys I knew already. And obviously, like you say, like we've got some older guys like Matty Hayward, who I obviously played my first couple of years in Glasgow with. And Sam Zajac as well.
What a beauty that guy is.
Guys. Yeah, he is. So it's funny thing about Sammy. I thought he was going to be a bit hard nosed before I got here, because you just see him scrapping and stuff. But like loveliest guy you'd ever meet. So those boys are great, and I think they do help sort of balance the team out, because we have all this like young, excitable youth, and those boys really help. Keep it balanced.
How is it having Aldi behind the bench? Because Ryan Aldridge was that guy when you played with him. He was an ultimate team guy, and he transitioned into coaching actually really well. He went player coach route. Now we know him as a bench coach. You obviously played for Aldi at OHA, and you've kind of seen him here and there. What's been like the kind of differences between a OHA Ryan Aldridge and a Leeds Knights Ryan Aldridge?
Well, I think we're all men now, so
yeah,
I think there's definitely a few more. We get told off worse. That's a definite.
Worse. I bet worse, but less. Do you get told off more at OHA or more at Leeds?
Probably me more at OHA.
Yeah, you're not little shits.
Yeah, that's probably true. But no, I mean, he's obviously had all those years more experienced, and just some of the systems that we play at the moment. It's not. We play. I think at Leeds we play smart hockey. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel, because sometimes you can overcomplicate things. And I think Ryan obviously was a player for many years, and so he knows the game. I think he's been great so far. I mean, he's a family friend anyway, so obviously it was him that made me want to come here. I think I would have gone wherever he was, just because I wanted to go somewhere I felt comfortable and I could get back to playing my style of hockey again.
Were you definitely leaving? Like, what were you? Yeah, let's get a little bit of take on that. Were you definitely leaving? Were you looking to ship out, or was it just like a nice kind of maybe I'm looking, Aldi gets in contact, and then it kind of is a happy marriage? Or was it, if you didn't go to Leeds and Aldi wasn't interested, were you still looking to get out of Dodge?
Well, it was, I think obviously Dundee were having a pretty tough season. I mean, it wasn't that I wasn't getting minutes. I was, playing power play and stuff up there for. I was really grateful to Jeff Mason, the coach. He gave me every opportunity possible, but it was, just a pretty tough year. Some teams have them sometimes. And I actually rang Ryan for advice because I didn't really know what to do, because I wasn't really enjoying myself, wasn't really enjoying playing hockey. You'd be back on those 10-hour bus rides back from, wherever up to Dundee, and I just thinking, what am I doing with myself? This isn't what I play the game for. At the end of the day, it's just a game. So much more to life. So I just gave Ryan a call because obviously he coached me before and he's a friend. So, and then he mentioned, would I like to come here? And I just thought, I had a little think about it for all of about half an hour. And then I said, yeah, why not? And, it was quite a quick, it was, I kind of had to take that leap. And I'm so glad I did. Like I said, I don't think I've probably made a better decision. I'm happier. I've got more free time. The travel's better. I don't think I've found a downside yet. So that's probably says to me that it was the right decision.
I mean, it seems like a smart decision on my point. Like, you're at that age now where secondary careers and those types of things start to come into play. It's something we've spoke about on this podcast. Oh God, I think every week, could we talk about the Elite League money versus the national money? In fact, where we know that the best Brits in the national are probably getting paid way more handsomely than they would in the Elite League until they get to that X factor. And like I spoke to Ben O'Connor on the phone for I don't know, an hour and a half last night, catching up and just shooting shit. And we were talking about that, and he goes, "Yeah, but the thing you forget is, they can make 500, 700 now, and they would be making 400 in the Elite League." He said, 2 good years, and that guy could be making 1,400 quid a week and getting his mortgage paid. And I was like, yeah, but such a small fraction of us British boys that are ever likely to taste that dollar in that top league. So a secondary career is a must.
And I think, if you have a good career, then what stops you earning that alone in a job and playing hockey as well? I think that was a thing for me. I'm 23 now, and I know this may sound ridiculous, but I feel like I'm getting old already. And I think it was time for me to
start going grey, Matt. Wait.
I'm not grey yet.
Wait.
Got all this hair.
It's coming, mate. It's coming.
I just think, my old man, and, there's probably a bit of pressure to, get going on a career at some point. And I think
a real job, as your old man would say.
A real job, yeah. So, do that and play hockey while I can, while I'm still young and I can still do it, even if it's just for a bit of fun. I think if I can obviously do well in a job and then, still play hockey, I think it's probably the best of both worlds for me. Because I did worry slightly, when you play all that time, in that league, while it may be, a status thing or the shiny thing to do, I think, the real world starts to set in a little bit as you get on, and you don't want to get to, 30, 32 and, not have anything to fall back on. And, where do you go from there? You're starting, for me, I'd be starting 10 years behind.
Mate, I was your age when speaking to Coventry, and I was speaking to Brayhead, and I was like, I'm in an iron. Do I go back to the Elite League and have one more go at it? And then we started talking money, and I was like, what the fuck are you even talking about? I said, what? I was like, and I've got to be at the rink fucking 6 days a week. When do I work? And this is before, like I spoke to Barry McKenzie now. He's got another career outside of hockey. He's doing this. But back then, like the Brits were kind of, you were expected to be at everything, be at every function. If you were the young Brit, you were at the school visit, you were at the fucking sponsors opening day. If it was Specsavers, you were there, you were jersey on. That's a Steve Nell special right there. Had me stood in Swindon High Street. But you expected to do all these things. And then they told me the money. Now, it was probably like £130 a week less than I was already on in the EPL. So not only am I taking like a nigh on £600 it, 520 quid it, whatever it was, not exact numbers, hockey wise, I was then losing fucking 3 days a week that I could do work. So you're talking like an 800 quid swing.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't do that.
I mean, it does. When you say it like that, it's kind of like a no-brainer. But you always have that. And credit to the guys that obviously are still up there chasing that. But it only lasts so long, and I think I'm probably a bit of a deep thinker, and I think me doing this is what puts my mind at ease, at least.
Going into the cup then with Peterborough, are there any players in particular that you have your eye on going into that game? Because I know you give them a bit of a spanking the other night, but come cup final game, I know it's over 2 legs. How do you feel about the Phantoms coming into that, and what players have sort of caught your eye?
Yeah, I think they're good as a whole. I think they're good all round. I think if you looked at their team, I don't think you could point out a particular weakness.
Unless you're MK and then leave it. I don't know if this is before you came, but MK played away in Peterborough and Tim Wallace had his notes. And it was like Weldon's fat and slow. And fucking, they put all this stuff and it was left, and it kind of went viral around the National League earlier this year. Unless you're like that, I agree with you. I don't think there's a bad guy on that roster.
No, and I think as far as individual players go, I think, obviously Glenn, who you had on the podcast here, obviously can score. He's a good player. I've known Glennie for a long time. Their imports obviously can score. They've got some experience. The goalie, Mar, he's really solid.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we and as far as that result, I don't think. I mean, we were saying as a team, we're kind of like if when we're at the top of the table, it's like we were getting into that mindset of we were being chased instead of we should be pulling away. So I think they beat us. I think the 2 times before. I think because we slipped into that mindset, we were more focused on them than us. And I think that game on Sunday, we flipped that, and we were just focused on how good we can be, and I think that's what got us the result. So but I'm excited for it.
Sorry, Mark, go on. You take it.
How do you feel about it being split from Friday to Friday as opposed to like a back-to-back weekend?
It's probably better in terms of being able to stay fresher for the games and being at our best. And I think as I said, we got a young team, so I think
stops them going out on a Friday night if they've got a game.
That's maybe true, yeah. But no, I think.
Wait, by the way, if they have been going out, keep doing it because you're top of the league. Absolute wagon.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know what those boys get up to or got up to before I got here, but whatever they're doing or doing in secret, it's working, like you say.
Yeah,
but
keep doing it.
yeah, I mean, I don't think it'll make too much difference because they're both Fridays. If they were both, Sunday games, then I think there would be a lot of weight on whichever team played. If we played MK before and they played perhaps a lesser team, then they'd have the advantage. But it seems pretty even. So yeah.
So kind of touched on it a little bit with Glennie, but the fact that obviously there is other games in between it is what I don't like, because let's say you go in on the forecheck, you go lift a D-man stick and you fucking accidentally high stick him in the face, and now you're looking at a 2-game sussy and you're missing the second leg of the final. Like, I think if they're going to do that, there needs to be a concrete sort of thing where you go, right, if we're doing Friday, and you accidentally high stick, so don't get me wrong, if you fucking steamboat someone from behind into the crossbar, you're sussied. But if there's like an accidental high stick or something, you should not have to miss the second leg of the final because the EIHA have scheduled the games here and here as opposed to back to back.
Yeah, I mean, most of those decisions are down to the, all respect to them, the referees that you get on the night. Some judge plays differently, some are more lenient than others. But no, I think I agree with you there.
It just makes it difficult because as well, like, I don't know, you run this scenario of, on a Friday night, you play your game, you're then going to either have 2 games that weekend or 1. You're going to have an additional game before you play. If you're a top guy at 23 minutes, 24 minutes, you're one shot block away from your season being over, or one bad hit, or one whatever. I just think if you give the event the respect it deserves, i.e., Saturday, Sunday, you can make an event. You can make it a huge, huge thing. Or you do go to what the Elite League do, and you go one game in a neutral venue, and it's an absolute party because you get obviously both fans come in. And if it was in Coventry, I'd go. But is this like, it's like, would I go to Peterborough? No, what the fuck? Would I go to Leeds? What the fuck? It's too far away. Whereas you put it in a neutral venue, like you think the league's kind of Coventry is a perfect playoff location due to the logistics of the league. Like you have Bristol, Swindon, Basingstoke, Bracknell, etc. down here, and then you have Leeds, Hull, Telford, everybody else above. Would you be down for it to go to like a one game winner takes all at a neutral venue?
I mean, I've never really thought about it, but yeah, you're probably right. It'd probably be a lot more of a spectacle, and I think you definitely get a bit more intensity. And yeah, I mean, there's a certain thing over two legs. Like you say, you have to, sort of play smart and stuff. But I think yeah, one game would definitely be a cool idea.
What about the playoffs? Because as it stands right now, you boys are top of the league. You would face off against, I think it is the Basingstoke Bison. Now, from watching the game last week, I believe it was 4-1 in the end. I think that'd be a pretty easy task for you boys, and that's no disrespect to the Bison, but there's levels to this, and watching it on that night, you can really see the difference between like your roster and some of the other rosters in the league. What do you think it is that really kind of puts you guys at that level, and some good hockey players on other good teams right down here? Like, what's the difference?
I think we definitely, we say it all the time, but like they say on paper, like regarding your statistics and stuff, I think, we've definitely got a lot of skill on our team. And, like hockey's a team game, obviously. You obviously need people to play with. And I think we've got that in bunches here. We've got, all forward lines have skill, can all score goals. All D can make plays and chip in offensively as well. So I think that's probably the difference, is that we're probably, we've got that depth. I think that's the real difference.
I think you also carry a lot of speed in the games that I've watched online here in Vienna. I can't get to go to games live as often as I'd like. I always notice the speed of your team is ridiculous, and I notice it more than, say, the other teams. There's noticeable fast players on other teams, but I find with Leeds you've got a lot of players that have got wheels.
Makes me glad I'm fucking not playing. That's for sure.
No, I think there's obviously an element of that. But I also think, like, as I said, we're younger. We've got that youth on our side. I think when you get into that, bottom of the second, start of the third period, we've, that fitness starts to come in, and it's been able to, maintain that speed. And I think, our third period seemed to be our best period. So I think it's probably down to that, the fitness levels that, we've got here. I think it's probably, when you're younger, it tends to be easier. So that probably helps quite a lot.
Do you have a lot of like single guys on the team, or a lot of the guys got like girlfriends, kids? How is it like when it comes to who do we have on? I think it was maybe Griffin. We talk about like Guildford and stuff like that. Every now and again, it's good to get the guys together. I believe when the Elite League had the break, I think like 12 of the Guildford guys went away on holiday and they went together. How important is it the togetherness, whether it be with the girlfriends involved or just the boys? What's the kind of setup there?
Well, I'm not too sure, but I think the only ones that have kids I can think of is Matty Hayward.
Yeah,
and he travels down from Scotland to train a couple times a week. And then play the games, obviously.
Because he knows what's good, man. He's living in Glasgow. Why would you move?
And then I think it's about 50-50 split, but only a couple of the guys' girlfriends, maybe none of the guys' girlfriends that live in the apartments anyway, live here.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean, when there's an event to go to or something, all the boys show up, and I think we've definitely got that sort of unity going.
That's
which is
great.
good.
Because you touched on it there. There's three things here. First of all, it is a semi-professional league, but is essentially a professional league. Second thing is, it's supposed to be fun. You said that there. And third thing is, it's over very fucking quickly. It's a short go round. It might be 8 years for some guys, might be 5 for some, you might get 12 out of it. But then you touched on before as well, you have a career and you got to go in the office with a bunch of pricks you don't like and the guys you don't like. Where right now you're in a fucking team full of beauties that you love, and it's so much fun. I just hope I'm sounding like an old man now, but I hope the guys your age can take advantage, because when you start paying a mortgage and you're paying house insurance and life insurance and fucking pet insurance and car insurance and mobile phone insurance and shit. It's shit. Playing when you were just turning up to the rink, playing, having fun. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, and I think that's like you mentioned, is testament to our team as well. I don't think we have. Well, I know we don't have a bad apple, and we say like negativity spreads way faster and easier than positivity does. And I think when I came here, it was just sort of getting to know everyone, but I think I've been here long enough now to sort of recognise that, we don't have anyone like that. And I think it makes it, coming to the rink, training 3 times a week and playing games, it can be a bit much sometimes. You get, maybe get enough for some people or not. But, I haven't found that here. And I mean, that's just made it even more, more fun for me.
We've contributed well with 45 points in 22 games.
Thanks, yeah.
Mark
Cheers.
loves a stat as well.
Oh, yeah.
Stat guy, Mark. Well, let's go on to some other kind of hockey subjects, i.e. the league, because we spoke to Glenn about it, and I mean, it might have been a bit ruthless, but I told him they were pretty much out of it, what we thought a fortnight ago, and then they went and had a 0-point weekend, which cemented the fact they're out of it. You boys are in the driving seat, MK right up your ass. Like, if you fuck up, they're going to bite you. But are you confident sitting in that driving seat, feeling like they're just nipping at your ass, and that's giving you boys a drive to get over the line?
I think if you'd have asked me that same question a few weeks ago, I'd have said, yeah, we felt like they were nipping at our heels, or the term that you used. And then, but now I think we've switched mindsets a little bit, that we're pulling away. There's a reason, through 45 games, I think it is now, that we've played, that we are where we are. And, you have to take some confidence from that. And I think that's probably reflected well, at least in our last game, that we sort of, we're not really too worried about anyone else. Obviously, you have to know them tactically and their tendencies. But yeah, the sole focus is, we can only control the controllables. Has been the quote going around the room. So that's plain and simple. That's what we're trying to do.
Aldi loves a simple quote. Oh, I don't know. Do you ever get? I don't know. Probably not, because your roster's so fucking stacked. When I played for Aldi, we were like 7th, 8th, 6th, 5th, like in the mix. And Aldi's favourite one then was, "Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard." That fucking hell. Go to the coaching manual. And that was like a proper quote from like the 70s. Aldi used to love it.
I mean, we've had that probably, once. He's probably said that once.
Yeah,
since I've been here. But, I don't think it doesn't ring any truer. That's for sure. I think that quote is probably the reason why we can lose to Peterborough one night and then, have the result that we did on Sunday the next. So,
As it stands, you boys are 4 points clear. I think 6 to play, 7 to play. I might be wrong. Round about that level of games left anyway. What's going to be the difference maker for you boys seeing it over and getting it over the line?
Well, the difference maker. I think it's like I've been mentioning. I think it's definitely internal. I think all the difference that we could, of the result that we we will dictate our results. I think we've got that level of skill and level of human as well. I think, you know, we're all good people in that room. So yeah, I think it's just all down to us.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to.
Okay, I've got a few other bits. So let's keep it current. Apart from the league and the cup, there's been rumours floating around that both the Elite League is due to up its import numbers, go from 14 to 15. We'll get your thoughts on that in a second. But we're going to start with the National League, who it's rumoured to be going from 2 to 3 across the board, 2 imports on the ice. If this is to be the case, is that a good move for the National League? Does it help kind of bridge the gap between, I mean, because right now the gap between you said when you came on, the speed, the fucking whole game is, so it's a different ice hockey game. Whatever we can do to bridge that gap, is that enough, or is it a step in the right direction, or is it a step in the wrong direction? Maybe more opportunity for younger Brits. How do you sit on this?
I mean, there's definitely not as big a gap between the top of our league and the bottom of Elite League. I think that's definite. You know, the top 5 teams would, you know, probably compete with the bottom of the Elite League team. I may be wrong, but that's just my personal opinion. And going from 2 to 3, I mean, it's not like it's going from 2 to 10.
Yeah.
So, you know, it probably won't make that much of a difference. But then you could make the same argument, and then, well, what's the point? But no, I think
you say that though, Mac. You say that though, right? You say how much difference does it make, right? I don't want to pump your tires too much, but you're essentially a fucking import in that league. They've just brought in another import. You've gone 22 games for 45 points. So you're telling me another guy like you on your roster won't make a fucking difference? It can change the entire league, man. It changes the entire league. All of a sudden, you getting points against these fucking kids that can't skate backwards. You've now got to face Joseph Sladdock, who's going to break your arm on every play, or you got to face Robert Schnabel, who's 6'7", and you're not going to skate around him. The guy playing the NHL. There's no import D in that league. So all of a sudden, every team goes out next year and they've got a Robert Schnabel. Those 45 points in 22 games, they might come down to 37. Like that, do you know what I mean? It's the differences of who you bring in. I think you at that level are like an import. Like, imagine if you was to bring Waller or Ben Davis down or Matty Myers or whoever it is, you're an import at that level. You've seen what difference you've made. How could another import who's as good? Well, Witowski, everyone shit the bed about Leeds when Cooper left, and you brung this kid in who scored like fucking 97 goals in the last 4 games. You've been absolute sick joke. Makes a difference to the roster.
Yeah, I mean, we started calling him Snipekowski.
Snipekowski, I like that. Yeah, that's good.
But no, I mean, you're only obviously referencing what they would do on another team, but then you think you've got another player to play with who's also of that same caliber.
True.
So, you know, where you may have not got a pass from a certain player before, you're getting a backdoor tap in this time.
Tony Hand-esque, like Christopherson, when I played with him in Guildford, don't get me wrong, he was still good, but I played against him in Manchester when he was on line with Tony Hand. He was unplayable. Like, you couldn't do anything because he actually was just pretty smart. He went to the right areas. And when you play with Tony Hand, if you're smart and go to the right areas, you don't need to be that good. Like, you put your stick on the ice. And he went from, like, I don't know, 125 points playing with Tony. And then when he was in Guildford, he had like 50, 60 points, which was still a point a game, not bad average. But everyone was like, where's the Christopherson gone from Manchester? I was like, well, nowhere, but fucking Tony is not on his line.
Yeah.
Your line mates make such a big difference.
Yeah, and I think to touch on the Elite League going from 14 to 15, I think you could probably use the same argument, but, you know, to lesser effect. It's a lesser. You go from having a 33% increase in imports in our league to, I don't even know what that is as a percentage.
Yeah, don't do that to us, Mac. Don't do that to us, Mac. Come on.
You know, so that's probably going to be less of a differential in standard for sure. But, you know, I think that stock of British players that we've, you know, got up there, I've always thought there's kind of like, with the British players, there's always been that kind of like older, like concrete group that's played, you know, there for, you know, probably, well, I don't want to, you know, say, but, you know, probably at least 7 years, probably more, 7 to 10 years. And they're probably, coming towards the end of their careers now. And I feel like it's just a bit of a gap in the middle. There's a few players here and there of that sort of, 25 to 27 range. And then it's sort of my age group. So I definitely think, the decision to go from 14 to 15 may be a reflection of the fact that, some players are now opting to play in this league instead of the Elite League, and they're,
and Europe, like Tetlow, when in 1 year we lost Tetlow, we lost Bettridge, Pellini, like guys they're shipping out. So if that's to continue, and then guys ship down like yourself, and Jordan Buessa, he's gone to the Steel Dogs. Like there's guys throughout the league. McLaughlin's come down, Warburton's come down. I mean, the list can go on. Headley's come down, and it's happening, and it's happening. I think the Elite League, it's fucking shit, but I see what they're doing and I understand it. You're going, right, that they're coming down. Johnny Phillips retires. Which Brit next year decides that he's going to go to, after the World Champs, is going to go take his chance to play in Italy or Rouen or somewhere just different. Take the family and move and like go do a different thing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden that's because one guy, you're only talking there's 10 teams. It sounds fucking crazy. One guy. Imagine if Dowdy just decided next year he's going to Sweden. Now Sheffield need to sign a fucking top Brit. So whoever had that top Brit before doesn't have many more because Sheffield had just gone in and went, here you go, we're going to pay you this. And now they need to go and find a Brit. Well, if the NIHL guys that are good enough don't want to step up, they're like, actually, mate, I'm a qualified Sparks. I worked 7 till 12 this Saturday, had a 4-hour nap, and then played my home game in the National League, and I made 500 quid today. What are you going to do? Like,
there's no incentive. I understand that, but like you say, I think just it's like that stock in that league is probably going to be depleted. I mean, who knows? But it's just what I think. And then obviously the Elite League's decision to increase the import from 14 to 15 is probably founded on the fact that stock is being depleted, and they have probably some sort of pressure to maintain the standard. So instead of getting somebody who's maybe not as good as someone they wanted to sign and they have to sign someone else, well, if they want to maintain the standard of the league, they can just get another person from anywhere. Yeah.
It's actually an interesting take. A fan on Twitter, and forgive me, I don't know who it was. I always look at it purely because I'm a ex-player. I look at it from the player's perspective. I try and, as a podcaster, try and see it from everyone's angle, but I never really looked at it from a fan perspective. And she goes like this: it's expensive as fuck. I want to see the best team on the ice for my fucking 18 quid or whatever it is a week. From that point of view, yeah, I get it. I don't just, and that's the other thing, and what I don't want the elites to do. Don't just mercy give a British kid a fucking job. Like, if he's good enough to give him a job, and you're going to be able to play him, give him a job. Like, if you're going to make him ride the pine for 54 games, let him stay in the National League.
I agree.
Let him stay and play.
Then again, I think that opinion, I obviously don't know who said it, but I think that sort of, are they really going to be able to tell the difference between 14 and 15? Well, so there you go.
Mate, from their Twitter, they would better tell the difference from fucking 8 and 17. But I
remember a funny story actually from when I played in Guildford. One of the fans thought Rob Lakovic was an import. So I think that's...
Oh, yeah. Polish Mr. Lakovic.
Yeah.
Mate, and he's another guy, though. So he's a guy that and I don't want this to sound disrespectful because it's going to sound shitty. He's gone on to have the Elite League career he's had. And I played against him and he was a good player. But when I played against him in like the EPL before he stepped up, I wasn't like, oh my God, we better... Not like Kieran Brown. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't like, oh my God, we better watch Lakovic tonight. But he was dependable. He did a job. He could play a fucking role. And he's managed to do it for like 13 years. And very well, I may add. Like, he is brilliant. But again, Farmer, when I played against Farmer in the EPL, I was like, kick and score goals. He's good. But I was never like, oh, Ferrara, another one, good player. If you'd have told me when he was playing for Peterborough with me, he's going to score 35 goals and lead the Elite League in 3 years' time, I told you, fucking no, he's not. Don't talk shit. Opportunity is key.
Yeah, I agree. You said it.
It's just an opportunity. Like, one guy gets an opportunity. Like, obviously, you see Ben Davis, he had to go to Guildford, he had to do the miles, and he gets his opportunity to go to Cardiff and like compete for silverware and do these things. There's only so many guys though that are gonna do that in the long term, and other guys are gonna take the route that you've decided to do, and perhaps look at career outside of hockey. Because, sorry, bear with me, Mark, I've got no battery, by the way, if you're texting me. You held your phone up, but I don't have any battery. Right, let's kind of wrap it up here with a couple of points. If the imports do go up, import goalies, yes or no?
From a player's perspective, no, because it'd probably be easier to score. But from a league perspective, yes, because it would make it competitive. I know that's a wishy-wash answer, but that's yeah, I don't know.
It's funny because we answered it the same way, right?
Yeah.
But we answered it differently in terms of my thing was, as a player, I'm like, give me a guy that is brutal to score against, because I know if I score against him on the Saturday, I'm scoring 3 against whoever I'm playing on the Sunday, because I'm like, oh my God, I just beat this guy. I'm all up in it. I'm wanting to get to the front of the net. And then on the other side of it, yeah, maybe, and this is no disrespect, I'm just going to use them because they're bottom of the league. You put a fucking import goalie in Hull, and let's say all of a sudden at this stage they have 6 more wins because they have an import goalie. Well, those 6 more wins put Hull like in 8th or 9th as opposed to 11th. Like,
it changes the whole dynamic.
It does change the whole dynamic. And by the way, I'm glad I don't have to make these decisions. I'm glad I get just to talk about them. But if you're a decision maker, Mac, how many imports next year? Import goalies, yes or no?
I say keep it at 2. I think definitely for Leeds, we're getting
because you have 7 British imports on your team.
In terms of like crowds and stuff, we're already pretty much selling out every game, so it's not going to make a heap of difference. And then goalies will say no, let the Brit goalies have a league that they can actually play in.
I'm all for the Brit goalies having somewhere to play, because I put this question to Mac when me and him were on, because we talked about it on Twitter a little bit, and then when I got a chance to sit opposite him, I'm like, okay, if it is import goalies, now for me, Gospel keeps his job. He's got a contract anyway, but he keeps his job even if he didn't have a contract. Headley keeps his job. Zamodra, if he wants to, keeps his job. And then you start going through the list, I'm like, who actually brings in a fucking import goalie? Because
I agree,
the finances, and then as a league, this is something we spoke to Glenn about. If you do bring in the import goalies, the league gets no better because you don't have any other outfield players. You don't have any outrink players. What you have is the exact same product that you've already got, but with goalies that are fucking better. So you have less goals. So games are less entertaining because you have exactly the same players that now just can't score against.
You definitely have a consensus between all the teams as well. I think they're of the opinion that they want to keep their Brit goalies, and they'd much rather have an import.
D-man or
yeah.
Okay, interesting. Right, a couple of little predictions from you, and then we're going to let you go. Prediction for the cup over the 2 legs. How is the game going to go? And prediction for the league going forward. Are you boys going to have enough to seal the deal?
I think prediction for the cup games are going to go. We're going to win, that's for sure. And hopefully continue the way we left off playing against them last. And then the league, same sort of answer. I think we've got what it takes. And I think the sort of, we've gone through that stage of having that pressure of, oh, we could lose it, and now we're sort of getting into that thing of getting into our stride of like, now we are going to do this. We're going to pull away now. So yeah, win on both accounts.
Phantoms are going to actually thinking about it now. Phantoms are going to want this. Well, you both really want it, but the last team, and you could potentially do this. Phantoms were the last team. I know it wasn't the same league, but the EPL, they won the treble. Well, there's nothing to stop you guys from doing it this season.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx it, but I think we definitely have the capabilities to do that.
I think if you talk to the layman or the neutral or whatever you want to label them as, everyone would probably have you boys down as a treble winners because there's just so much depth and talent. We haven't even touched on him yet, but Sam Gospel is your goalie. We touched about you got all these wagons up front. Well, great. You got all these wagons up front and could score 6-7 goals a game. Sam Gospel very rarely lets in more than 2 or 3. That you don't even need to be scoring 7 to win when you got that kid in there.
No, I think obviously that's, we've definitely been in some games where Gozzi's definitely pulled us out of them. I know we probably spend most of our time trying to keep the pressure off of him. But I think when he's called up to the plate, I think you've seen it. I don't know what the goals against are in the league or the goal differential, but no, he's definitely doing his job.
2.55 goals against average.
Oh, here we go. Stack game up.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, that was clutch that you just had those stats there. Right, Mac, we are going to let you go. We wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season. And I think for someone who probably didn't think he was going to be on 4,000 count and chatting shit and talking about the NIHL Cup, we need to get you back on because you speak really well, mate. And for still a young man, even though you make me feel very old, that you're now 23 and all you guys and just you, Walla, all them lads on them teams and now
Louis Colvin. Remember Louis Colvin?
Yeah, Louis Colvin, what a job he did. But and again, the guys at a couple Floyd Taylor, he was my captain at under 17s, get a fucking testimonial this year. I was gonna maybe announce something, but I won't. Make it out what you will. That makes me know that I'm getting old. But the fact that I'm here with you now, coming on here, speaking so well, I'm so glad that you went through the OHA system, got a proper education, went off, done Finland, you went to the elite league, you gave it a shot, you stuck it out, you grinded it out, you came back. One question I'm going to leave you with: is the elite league off the table, or is there still an aspiration if maybe like a Belfast Giants or a Guildford, and in this situation now? A Steelers, a big dog came in, would that still be on the table, or is the national quite perfect life balance for you right now?
I think you can never say never. If the right fit came along, then I'd definitely hear it out. I don't think I should, burn bridges before I even know what's on the other side of it. But as far as now, I've lived away from home since I was, for the most part, since I was 13, 14 years old. And I feel like I've missed out on a lot.
A lot of sacrifice, man. It's a lot of sacrifice.
Like me, Josh and Louis have been friends for since we were probably 7, and I haven't seen as much of them as I would have liked over the last probably 10 years. Yeah. So I've been away from home for long enough. I think I just want to kind of enjoy my time. And what was the second part of that question?
I remember. You get punched in the face for a living, but I have no idea.
I think I've got aspirations to get somewhere in life. And I think in order to do that, I need to, have that balance of being able to have some time to maybe, build a career or focus on building a business or whatever it may be.
Okay. That means that you have to stay in the national, then that only makes our league stronger. Because like what he said earlier, you're like having another import.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think it's just, when I started playing hockey, I played for the reason because I enjoyed it. And I think only now I've really got back to that sort of mindset once again. So,
Right. Okay. For those that are not in that
and thank
mind,
you for the kind words as well, Mark.
No worries.
pre-game tire pump ready for next Friday.
Yeah.
Let's go for the opposite angle. Let's go for the guys. I was going to wrap it there, but your point brings a poignant point. If they are to keep players in the elite league that want to do this as a career, how do they do that? Because we know unless you're fucking Dowdy, Benny, Matty, Jono, Davey, Bouncy, unless you're those guys, you're not making a salary in terms of what you could potentially make as a fucking brickie, a plumber, having your own business, blah, blah, blah. What did the Elite League do to entice it? And should more Brits, this is something we spoke about a lot, should more Brits then maybe be offered the university deals where you, hey, come sign for Belfast and we'll give you a fucking 3-year, 2-year, whatever it is, MBA, you can go do your masters, we'll house you, we'll car you. And then all of a sudden, actually, it's quite an attractive proposition to an 18, 19-year-old British lad. Hey, come here. We'll give you a couple of £100 a week. So a couple of £100 a week in that scenario is fine, where you're getting your school and you're getting your house and your car and your food on the road and your food at home. That's great. But if what you're saying to Brits is, hey, at 18, we're going to pay you £45 a week. You've got to be on the road. And how do we entice them to stay and maybe focus more towards making that GB team in the latter years or in a couple of years progress?
Yeah, I think it definitely has to be incentivized in a way that they're in probably the opposite of what they're thinking right now. I think one is probably drop the import level. Most people drop down because you hear it all the time. It's how many minutes you're going to get. That's probably the main thing. We all start playing. We play hockey. We don't sit on the bench hockey. So I think, that has to go down. I think, you could say obviously more money, but you could say that for anything. School deals. There has to be some form of incentive other than monetary to be. And even if that's the same, there has to be something else. There has to be, opportunities that are given to these people that perhaps this league, the NIHL, doesn't offer. There has to be some sort of difference there, because right now whatever league you're in, you're playing hockey in both. So there has to be something that's attractive in that league, but I'm not sure, what else that could be.
Well, hopefully we find out very soon, because I want to see more British guys succeeding at the highest level, getting into that national team. Myself and Mark spoke about it before. We need to be getting out of this pool at GB at home. We're never going to have a fucking better opportunity to get back to the top table than we do this year. So maybe that's enough of an incentive if GB were to get the job done, finish in the top 2, go up to the top table next year. Maybe there's some Brits that go, do you know what? I really want to play for Great Britain. So I'm going to go up to the Elite League and I'm going to suck it the fuck up. I'm going to take a pay cut. It sucks, but I'm going to do that in order to progress my career. But I can't see it happening. I can't.
Guys,
it's not enough. It's not enough, mate. It's not enough.
You guys have been around, longer than me, so I can only reference your experience.
Mac, it's been a pleasure. Leeds Knights fans that are watching along, if you're not already subscribed, please do subscribe. I know a lot of you guys are. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for getting engaged. Peterborough Phantoms fans, I thank you as well. I hope you enjoyed Glenn. I hope you enjoyed Mac. I hope you enjoyed the NIHL Cup final preview. A little bit extra bonus content in there for yourselves. And we will see you post-final for a wrap-up and see how wrong mine and Mark's predictions were. So, other than that, it's been fun. Mac, you're an absolute beauty. Thanks very much. Best of luck for the rest of the season. Mark, peace out, my friend.
Peace.